Hello everybody, Shawnee Marino, and I'm going to talk about a flight from KGCN to KPGA. It's an air tour flight. So the Grand Canyon Airport, it's a Cessna 210, and I'll be using the PAVE model and ADM principles. So it's an air tour operation. There's 3 passengers on board, 1 passenger dropped off at KPGA, and then return by 1400. Flight factors: so a commercial pilot, instrument rated, newly certified CFI, 100 hours in the aircraft, and familiar with the avionics. So relatively strong in the airplane, and recently getting the CFI. Safety is a big part of CFI, so I think that a lot of what's being asked is going to be or asked of this pilot is testing what this pilot just learned. So Cessna 210, fresh engine overhaul, new interior, Garmin 600, dual GTN 650s, and autopilot. So personally, I am not familiar with this Garmin. I am more familiar with a G1000, and with the new overhaul of the engine, we would want to kind of like closely monitor how it's doing. Like, is there going to be any issues or something that comes along? So I think planning a diversion and things like that for what may happen with a newer plane, or not newer plane, but like a newly overhauled plane. So we have the METAR and breakdown. It's an Presentation 8 at 1405 Zulu. So calm winds, good visibility. Everything looks good for the weather, so I don't think we would necessarily be too concerned with weather. Of course, filing would still be imperative. I always think filing, whether it's a requirement or not, is a good idea. It doesn't hurt to have an extra set of eyes in the sky looking out for you. So there's a lot of external pressures with this, and I think that's the focus of this particular flight. So the boss wants the flight conducted. He helped me obtain jobs, corporate jobs. He desired to build a good reputation, and then pressure to get back by 1400. And then the 5th one is like the biggest concern to me, is this like gray area thing. I'm sorry, but in flying, I don't really believe in gray area. And I think that if there is any stickiness to what you're doing, I don't think you should be doing it at all. Those rules, everything that the FAA puts out is there for a reason. And being that we are supposed to be doing things by God's, guidance, I don't think he has much of a gray area either. It's very clear. If you're doing right, you're doing right. You're doing wrong, you're doing wrong. And I just don't think that encouraging this is a good idea. So I know you're surprised, but I would not go. 3 passengers on a commercial tour. 1 is being transported. The primary purpose is appearing to be commercial transportation, and labeling it instruction is not really complying with the FAA. It's not an instructive flight. And while it might be enticing to get some dual hours, especially as a new CFI, that's so inappropriate. And if something were to happen, that's going to show up in the report, and you don't just risk, the accident or stuff like that. Of course, could always happen, but you're not really risking that as much as you are risking your license, and really your boss. Like, your boss can get in a lot of trouble for this, so sometimes, you have to tell people that you don't want to tell no, I can't do that. So in this situation, it would be a no-go for me. So here we need to look back on how we are living our lives as Christians, and I think a good quote comes to mind would be, plans fail for lack of counsel, but succeed with many advisors. But with many advisors, they succeed. And I think if you're a new CFI, you've just been exposed to a lot of different instructors, through your private pilot, through your instrument, through your commercial, and now your CFI. So there's been plenty of times that you've been told what the rules are and how to follow them, and you've looked them up yourself. So if you are still, after all that, deciding to go against it, then you're gonna fail even with many advisors, because you're choosing to be ignorant about it and not making the right decision, even when there's a lot of pressure. So do the right thing, even when people are watching. Here are my references. Thank you. And